Okay, we're back. Guitar Lounge Podcast number 4, ThroBak Guitar Lounge.
Hello, hello.
Here with Matthew. Matthew, the question is, are boutique guitar pickups a scam? You're going to expand upon what the viewers and listeners have in store.
Well, I'm going to say only the 4th episode. Only the 4th episode of the ThroBak Guitar Lounge Podcast.
Such hotly debated topics.
We are taking direct aim right at ourselves.
We're pointing the finger and we're pointing it back at you.
Yes. And the impossible question, are boutique pickups a scam? So that'll be the topic of the guitar argument in today's show.
Guitargument, Matthew. We're working to get this into the...
Guitar. Say it again?
Guitargument.
Guitargument. And no doubt it'll be hotly debated, that part of the show. So stay tuned for that, please. But first we have some celebratory news.
That's right.
At ThroBak.
You have announcements. You actually pointed this out just the other day, and I didn't realize that this momentous occasion had arrived. But go ahead, Matthew. Tell everybody about it. Well,
we were looking at an old Guitar Player magazine, and it said the date on it was February 2015, and that was in that issue, we found the Les Paul's old winder that was on an estate sale.
That's right.
An auction in New York City.
The KZ 1151 winder, as we have now come to call it, which is a pickup winding machine that is one of the bevy of important machines that ThroBak uses to make all of their P.A.F. and P90 reproduction pickups. And this machine is documented to have come out of the Gibson factory
in Kalamazoo
and taken out by Les Paul himself. We've had it for 10 years.
And he trucked it to New Jersey and
I think gave up on using it. It was missing a bearing.
Okay.
When we got it, when I got it, and that bearing would render it pretty well useless for its intended purpose. But it was a simple matter to replace the bearing. In fact, are the guys that make our guitar strings. I was over there, and they had the bearing. It's a machine shop.
Oh, and that's where it came from. They did the bearing. I brought the piece with the missing bearing over, and I said, "Hey, do you guys know where you could get this?" And they said, "Yep, we've got one." And they put it right in there. Oh wow, I didn't know.
It was on the tailstock part of it. Anyway, so. We've got some video, historical video of the unboxing of this machine 10 years ago after we purchased it from the Guernsey's auction.
Yep, that's right, Guernsey's auction.
So the story with this is one of our guys here was having lunch looking through Guitar World or Guitar Player magazine, and in there it had details of this it was Guitar Player, I guess, had details of the upcoming auction at Guernsey's for I guess it was Tom Doyle collection of Les Paul artifacts and items that Les Paul had given him over the years. And in there was a winding machine, and this pickup winding machine. And one of my guys noticed it, and he said, "Hey, do you know about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I'm totally aware of that because I have a photo of the same machine at Gibson in the 50s winding P90s.
From a book.
From a book.
Right.
And actually Matt Larrabee gave me that photo. And because he was interested in winding machines, also historical winding machines like this. So it's like...
Matt Larrabee of
Larrabee Guitars. And so I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. And actually I was aware of it too because this machine was on Tom Doyle's website before. And I thought I'd like it. I don't want to contact him though because it's his. Fine, he's got it. But now it's part of this auction, so this thing was on my radar anyway. And there's a video where I explain all about it. But the upshot is I bought it for way less than I was willing to pay. I was willing to pay $10,000 for this thing.
That was the estimate from the auction house too.
Was it? Yeah. Was that the estimate? I was
8 to 10,
I think I was willing to go to 11 because I figured if it got bid up to 10, the auction bid would go up another $1,000, the bid increment, and I'd get it at 11. So that would be like the top end of what I would be willing to pay for this. And I came up with that number because I I had the same company make their last iteration of this machine, Joe Stevens. I paid $8,000 for that new.
Right.
So I thought, well, the provenance of this thing and the fact that it's documented to have been working in Gibson, and it's got all the original fixtures and everything, that's worth the $8,000 and more. So, but I got it for like $600.
It was
It was $680 or something.
I think wasn't the shipping almost the
The
same?
shipping was almost as much as I paid for it, though.
Right.
But it's kind of a funny story. So I think one other person was bidding against me, and I think the person might have been a pickup winder, but they didn't want to pay for it. But anyway, we got it. So here's the I'll play this historical unboxing video right now. Okay, so what we got here is this is 10 years ago in the ThroBak lair. I am unboxing this machine. There it is. Okay. Now, I'll say this is important because anybody not familiar with ThroBak or familiar should know that we already have another machine out of the Gibson Kalamazoo factory that we use for our P.A.F repros, and we're the only other manufacturer of pickups that has the Leasona 102, which is also documented to have been in the Gibson factory. In fact, we have two of them. Actually, we've got four, but we use two. We win the Leasona race, but and we have the Meteor machine as well. But this machine completes the entire known universe of historic pickup winding machines ever used for P.A.Fs and P90s.
Cool.
So this kind of cements our unique capabilities in this whole department. So the unboxing is complete, and we're looking over the machine here. And from the looks of it, this has not had any use probably, well, for decades. There's nothing on this that shows that it's been run for a long, long time. Okay, so I'll explain this too. What's so important about this is that this machine still has the wire guides, gear set, and non-auto stop counter that from the looks of it, that it was original to Gibson. The winding wire guides and also the fixtures for the bobbins are all Gibson made or made for Gibson and identical to what's in the photo the historical photo of this thing being in use. So if you're not familiar with guitar pickup making, winding, all of those details affect how the coil is built and ultimately the finished sound of it. So it's a big, big deal to have all of this stuff and have the whole... It's not had any use probably, well, for decades. Having the whole package complete like that.
Right.
You know, it's not just the machine. Although that's important, it's also the fact that the whole setup done by Gibson is as it was. So here's a picture here of the wire guides. But right there. Okay, so these are the 4 wire guides. Although dirty, we clean them up. These are the 4 wire guides for each of the bobbins that would be placed in this machine. These are the fixtures that the bobbins would be sandwiched in between. In fact, we put our P90 bobbin and P.A.F bobbin on there. I bought this too, knowing it made P90s. Assuming it probably did P.A.Fs too, but I didn't have any, this is anecdotal evidence I've got at this point. But I'll find later here, we actually see that there is a sort of a mark on the shadowing sort of mark on the fixture that shows not only the outline of a P90 bobbin, but a P.A.F. bobbin. So the tensioners are missing on this, but I've got the photo of the original, and I had Geo Stevens make us the same tension clamps. So we set it up exactly as it was at Gibson in the 50s. Let's see. I think at the end here I've got. Here's again. This is a large counter. These things had counters, but not an auto stop counter. This thing only switches off by switching off the power to the machine. And again, this explains also why vintage P.A.Fs are so variable in their resistance. Is one of the factors. So here, maybe to the original Gibson fixtures. And if you look at them closely, I've got one here. You can see that right off the bat that it was used for P90s because it's got a... So you can see there's a P90 bobbin outline.
Right.
You can also see within that there is a P.A.F. bobbin outline. It's not super clear in this video. Also, you can see the lines for it right here and here.
Yeah, you can.
And the curve around there. So this thing was used for both. And that's a big deal in the repro world for P.A.Fs and P90s. Not a little one, big one.
And what year did Gibson take possession of that?
Oh yeah, now I'll put a link to the video, but we even went as far as finding the shipping record from Geo Stevens. They still had it, and it shipped to Allen Equipment, which is a supplier just down the street from the old Gibson factory. That must have been a dealer for Geo Stevens. And Gibson used Allen Equipment multimeters. That was in the photo as well. That had this machine. In fact, we have one of those multimeters. But I've got a video that explains all that. I put that in the description here. But yeah, I even did a photo of the original shipping record, and I believe it ships in... Is it 1952? I don't remember.
It was early 50s.
It was
early 50s.
It was, yeah.
But it's there. It's on the.
It's there. It's on there. It's
on the website.
What's cool about it is it's so well documented, and even to the point that Les Paul took it out of the factory. So it's a unique machine that makes what we do even that much more detailed and authentic, which is pretty cool. Was that it for the KZ115 anniversary, the 10-year anniversary of that machine?
Well, I was wondering if we were going to maybe offer
I think some sort of giveaway or promotion in future episodes. I think is fitting to mark this 10-year anniversary.
It's hard to believe, but because we took possession of it, we started making pickups on it almost immediately.
Yeah, and they're very popular. There's a Doug and Pat video out there where we offer this in Alnico 2, 4, and 5. 2 is with a standard choice. If you don't tell us otherwise, that's what you get. But there's a nice video they did where they try all of them.
Right.
And yeah, super cool. Any more?
I think that's it for
the announcements.
Yeah.
Then.
So we'll move on to
for tools and tips. So we're bringing back tools and tips this week. This podcast. I've got an interesting. Well, it's not interesting, but this I find to be an essential addition to my personal and ThroBak toolkit. This is once was called the Cruise Tools. What's a current guitar multi-tool? This is
it's now called, this is the Groove Tech Jack and Pot Wrench.
Groove Tech Jack and Pot Wrench is what it's now called. But I'll put a link down there. And by the way, if we have links, just assume they're affiliate links and we get a few cents off of this. I think for YouTube World we have to mention that, but whether or not we get anything off it, I'll put a link so it's easier for people to get this stuff. But this is a very handy socket wrench that has got the size of any socket that you would need for guitar-related matters. and it's just very handy to have around. It's shaped in a way that you can get stuff tight enough, but you can really feel that you're putting enough tension on it, but you're not overdoing it like you might with a ratchet or something.
Right.
So that's a very useful tip. And again, that's called the
tool. You mean
tool? Well, using it would be a tip.
It's the Groove Tech jack and pot wrench.
Groove Tech jack and pot wrench. So we'll put a link to that up there. And I thought I would add a tip to this as well. And this tip involves a guitar. So I'm going to grab the guitar here. Bear with me. This tip has to do with guitars that have either very worn frets or vintage guitars that have frets that from the factory were very short.
Right.
The instinct with everybody, including me, is refret. You've got to refret it because it feels strange to have frets that low. But with this particular guitar that I'm going to show, I took a different approach, and it made me decide this is the first thing to try before you refret if you're hesitant to refret a guitar. So hold on one second. Okay, Matthew. This is, I'll show a wider shot of this here. If I can find it's going to put you out of the mix for a minute. So
that's fine.
Don't feel bad.
People want to see that guitar, I think.
There we go. This is a 1957. This is part of my, I guess I would call it my player grade vintage collection. It's a refinished 1957 Les Paul Special that I bought, I don't know how many years ago, but at the time it was a little more than like if you had paid the Gibson Custom Shop to make one, it would have been about the same price. But the issues associated with this guitar is it's refinished, although they did a nice job.
Yeah, it was really good fit. I was thinking, wow, that's in really good shape.
It's an old refinish. It's all checked and everything, and naturally checked. It's got all the original pickups. Although I rewound, this one was dead.
It was dead.
Actually, this one had been replaced with. I kind of suspect Gibson may have refinished this because this one had a 70s.
Oh wow!
Bobbin, clear bobbin on it, but the vintage base plate. Anyway, I rewound that on the KZ 115 that we were just talking about. But it's got all of the original parts.
Original
pots. Maybe one is replaced. I think one capacitor was replaced in this. And it's even got the original thing here, the plate that breaks for everybody. Anyway, this is probably worth more now in parts than what I paid for it.
Really?
Yeah. So, but anyway, the upshot with this is, it's got the original frets on there, right? So they're short. If anyone's played one of these older guitars, it feels kind of odd. But I wanted to just be able to play it. And I thought, well, I usually use 10s. And I thought, well, I'll put, for whatever reason, I decided I'll put the next gauge up. I put mediums on it. So 11 to 50.
Okay.
And just that step up in gauge made it feel totally normal. So, and I think that I don't know, maybe was the thinking with this originally that these short frets were intended for heavier gauge strings, and that's what feels right with them. Hmm. So
it's 11 to 49.
1149 or 11 to 50. Yeah.
Okay.
I think our pure nickels are 11 to 50, and that's what I put on here. Hex square pure nickels.
And does it feel just feels normal? It doesn't feel like you're fighting.
No, the problem with the shorter fret like this, or very worn frets, is you can feel your finger dragging on the fretboard. Mm-hmm. And then you feel like you're kind of fighting the guitar to play anything, and it feels odd.
Right.
For this guitar, it fixed it, because the frets are not particularly worn on this. But anyway, that is a quick remedy to try. I think is worthy of trying for anybody in a situation like that. Just step up one in your normal string gauge, and see if that solves the problem for you.
Well, it's cheaper than a refret.
Yeah, it's cheaper than a refret.
It keeps it vintage.
Keeps it vintage, but also, refrets are necessary, but it's a major operation, and there are people that think that just changing the fret is going to change the tone of the guitar. So there might be something you liked about it with a different fret size that you find missing when you do the refret.
Right.
All right, I'll put this lovely guitar back. I keep thinking that maybe we should do a segment about trying to collect player grade vintage stuff. That would be a good example. Maybe we'll do that. If anyone wants to see that, put it in the comments. Okay, so Matthew, we have set this up. We're now going on to the Guitargument.
Right.
We've talked about our important machines in the boutique pickup world that are part of our capability and what we do. But the Guitargument topic of the day puts us in the crosshairs of this whole boutique thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the Guitargument?
Are boutique pickups a scam?
Are boutique pickups a scam? That's right. That's what it's about. I can't believe we're going to subject ourselves to this sort of abuse, but we're going to do it. Let's again, we've got to do the
coin flip.
We've got to do the coin flip. I don't have it up here, but we'll find it. Well, Matthew, you'll fill the empty air with a little banter about this.
Well, I think it's just this could be the end of our business. We could be going out.
The jig's up.
Depending on who wins this.
Let's see.
People may decide, hey, that guy's right. What am I doing?
Yeah, we may question our entire reason for being here.
We should never have brought that up.
That's right.
Alarm for when?
What? Siri, my watch heard me say something. Okay, we're going to bring up the coin flip here now.
Explain what the coin flip means.
The coin flip means
heads or tails.
Heads or tails.
I don't understand.
Be quiet, Siri. That's a very active watch. Okay, so the coin flip, it will determine the pro and con side of this argument.
Okay.
Matthew, heads means you will take the pro side. You will support. I guess you'll support. Are you going to support that it's a scam, or are you going to support that it's not a scam?
Well, I would just take the pro side of it. So the pro side would be.
It's not a scam.
Oh, I guess. Well, okay. Like we have to ask it differently. Maybe the subject should just be boutique pickups are a scam, and then
okay.
Pro and con.
Pro and con. All right. You're going to flip it. So far, it's been heads every dang time we've done this. Let's see it. Okay, here we go. And it's, oh my gosh. This is the most non-random coin flip ever.
That's too many times.
Okay, so, well, let's do it again. Best 2 out of 3?
Okay, let's see what happens.
Okay. It's now.
Oh,
okay.
Now it is exciting.
This is 2 out of 3.
Oh.
That's still heads. All right, so we got to go with that. If Google has determined your fate on this.
Okay, so I'm taking the pro.
Yes, that they're not a scam.
That they're not a scam?
I don't know. You decide what you want to do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take it that they are a scam.
Okay, that they're a scam.
I can get something off my chest that I've had for a long time. I can reveal that I think I've been part.
You've been a victim of this.
Have we been duping people?
Well, that's going to take away the impartiality of your argument there, isn't it? Okay.
Okay. The pro side, boutique pickups are a scam. You're dealing with very simple parts, some wire, some plastic, some magnets. You put them together, and then you sell them for this outrageous price. These poor people out there desperately trying to get some elusive tone from a yesteryear.
You think it's just this exploitation of people's hopes and dreams.
Yes, that there's they don't understand that
they don't understand that it's just a pile of wire.
It's just some wire,
bits of metal, and that a few monkeys put it together.
It's all some perishable things that put together randomly, and we're taking advantage of these poor people.
Okay. So I will support that boutique pickups are not a scam. I will qualify this if made by a reputable business. The parts and pieces required to make a boutique pickup in the realm of, and I can't help but color it with the ThroBak experience with this, is an exercise in for us, manufacturing every part and piece of the assembly. That requires hours of research. If we're talking about boutique pickups that are reproductions, which ours are, sourcing them from manufacturers that make them to our specifications. So we have drawings, we have dies, and we have molds for plastic that make what we make unique, and anybody else who is doing this to the level of what we here feel like a boutique pickup should be, which is a unique experience for the player with specifications that are uncommon in the everyday pickup at a lower price point. What do you have to say about that?
Is it necessary that to take all of this?
This is unneeded. You think details?
Unneeded details of researching all of these things. Aren't these things just the result of happenstance and some good luck back in the day, and then to try to recreate that is
sure.
Possibly, a waste of time.
But if you were to simplify it, you're saying that the bundle of wire and metal bits and magnet that can be accomplished by many means. The details involved in making a boutique reproduction, in our case, or a boutique level pickup, is just so much window dressing on what's really a basic electronic machine or item.
Sure.
I'm helping your argument, Matthew. Yes. You need to prepare more for these things. Okay. So I guess in one level, I would support your argument that there is a sort of practical aspect to a boutique, to a guitar pickup that can be satisfied by something of much less price and much less level of detail and much less, I guess you would say, quality. If the mere requirement is to have a functional pickup that does the job, sure, boutique pickups are not necessary. But I would posit that boutique pickups have made themselves necessary because customers of a certain ilk require this level of detail for their own satisfaction in knowing that they're playing the best that is available for what they want. And if they want a pickup that has a level of detail, if it's a reproduction that is unique in the world to somebody that might not be able to get the original vintage piece, that boutique pickup provides a value that is satisfying to the player who wants wants to have a setup that is of the level of a vintage guitar, and they want to have the tone and the satisfaction of playing an instrument like that. Is that so wrong?
Well, couldn't I just get a sewing machine, motor, and just put some wire down and make my own pickup?
I didn't put the timer on.
Oh, well, you follow up on this. I think we've got almost 5 minutes.
Well, let's each give ourselves one more point on this. Have you completed your part of this?
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you just? Well, all it is some coils on a bobbin. Can you just put this together? Do it yourself. I mean,
sure, you can. Yeah, but that's how boutique pickup makers often start. But they soon find that what appears to be very simple becomes very nuanced and very very, I don't know, difficult, but multi-layered in the level of detail that's required in order to do something on a scale of, or on the level of a boutique pickup. It's not magic in terms of what needs to be done, but to the player, it might turn what is a very sort of basic pedestrian experience into a magical experience. You think?
You've convinced me.
All right. Okay, let's just say this thing beeped.
I think it's been 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think
we forgot to put our timer on. We have a 5-minute limit on that.
Yeah. Well, we're probably pretty close. Okay, so we'll go to the next segment here, which we will talk in more reasoned terms about the Guitargument. So how do you feel, Matthew, working for a boutique pickup maker? Do you feel like you're dirty every time you come to work?
No, I had to take that side of the argument. No, I would say if I was going to do your side, what's going on is that you have all this equipment and you have all of these, as you said, custom made parts. And then somebody phones up and says, "Can you do this?" And then you tell them, "Yes." And how long will that take? Almost to a detriment, we say we'll ship that to you in 7 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's been our experience. Like, I decided early on that a big giant wait list is not helpful to customers or a business, because you now have this extra sort of complication in the whole idea that you're going to get your pickups to your customer, and that's having to manage a wait list. Unfortunately, I think one of the reasons the boutique pickup scam thought really comes to mind with people is because there is unfortunately a history of pickup makers that start a boutique pickup line, and they quickly become a flavor of the month, and that's great, but they quickly get buried under back orders, and they end up the story is repeated so many times that if you have been on guitar forums for any period of time, the way these often play out is people love them. "Hey, have you heard of XYZ pickups? I've never been so happy with a pickup in my life. You really ought to get some." And then said maker says, "Yeah, thanks, Pete. These are great. I really appreciate it. Yeah, anybody who's interested, let me know. We'll see what we can do for you." And then it becomes, I'm working on everybody's order. They'll be ready in 3 weeks. And then that cascades to, I've had my order with this guy for a year. Has anybody gotten their pickups? I did. They're well worth the wait. Someone will say, it's worth it waiting a year. Don't worry, you get your stuff. And then at some point it becomes clear that there's a lot of people that have been left without their pickups.
They're holding the bag.
Yeah, they're holding the bag. So, and that's not the fault of pickup makers that really, run a business as a business, but I think it's given a bit of a blemish to the whole idea of boutique pickup making, and I think also sort of the possible I think part of the thinking with this is, I think people they see something like a Seymour Duncan pickup, which is very well made, or even a Gibson aftermarket pickup, accessory pickup. They're very well made, but and they're reasonably priced for what they are, and what they are pickups that are made at a very large scale,
right?
But with specs that are not as closely controlled as a boutique pickup maker would be. And in our case, just sort of details that we do that make it more expensive, take longer to make, is everything is done with we control the temperature within 2 degrees year round in here, so that our resistance readings are meaningful control for producing a consistent pickup. And
the humidity.
Yeah, we've got guitars in here. Yeah, we do control the humidity. I don't think it probably has an effect on the pickup so much, but at all really. But yeah, so we rent space in a place where we have the machines and the equipment and the stock of materials needed. In our case, we have an additional cost because we're having everything made in the USA. We have everything made with our own suppliers, with our own dies, et cetera, as I said. And that adds up very quickly when you are concentrating on making pickups at a scale of detail that is unusual, rather than making them at a production scale that allows you to buy such large quantities that your per piece price goes down, but also making them at such speed that the tolerances are widened in terms of the details that we put into resistance, magnets, everything, and even how they're assembled, that go into a boutique pickup like ours. Anything to add to that, Matthew?
I always got a kick out of one time when someone phoned you up and told you, we had just raised our prices earlier this year.
Yeah.
And the person said, how do you, basically, how can you sleep with yourself? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you went through and meticulously explained all the details, all the parts, all of the machines, everything that's going on. And by the end of it, he ordered a set. Yeah. Literally by the end of the conversation, he said, okay, I get it. I'd like to place an order. Yeah.
So, yeah. And this is a real thing for a boutique pickup maker. And the thing is, it's hard to increase prices because, you're already aware you're selling at something at a premium price. With us, I want to make sure people know everything that goes into it, so that they know what the premium the premium price,
what you're getting,
what you're going to get. But the part of that is you just have to look at what your profit margin is every year, and you have to do a price increase every year. What we make has never gotten cheaper to make year to year. Everything costs more for us to have made, and in turn, it costs more for us to make it with those parts, and that a business has to pass that along. Our prices have to reflect that, on top of the uniqueness of what we make. But I know guys that run pickup making businesses who do a great job, but they have gotten out. They never developed the habit of being realistic about what it costs to make what they make and what they're charging their customers. And I think that's where many of these boutique pickup makers that end up with a bad reputation, they didn't start with this in mind, but they kind of did something out of the enthusiasm for making the pickups. I think pedal makers have done this too, but the business part of it gets left behind, and the result is that it's not sustainable for a boutique manufacturer to do that. And, you have customers that at the beginning ultimately got a very good deal, but it's not sustainable for the guy making them to keep it up that way. And they find that out very quickly. And it starts with a waiting list, and then it goes on to not only a waiting list, but a getting behind on parts because they don't have enough money coming in to pay for what they need for the ever increasing production. Anyway, I think that's kind of the core of that. But I will say that I think it's very true that you can get a great sounding pickup at a very low price now when you consider the availability of overseas parts and that there are people making them at scale with parts that are functional, good, and able to make a good sounding pickup at a very low cost. It's not what we do though. We make a repro, and we're committed to making that an all USA made repro, and have from really since 2009 everything in our pickups USA made. So okay, the Guitargument cool down is officially over. Let's go on to Matthew. You have a book report.
I have a book review and comment, but for my section on Matthew's Musical Musings, which camera are we on? I reviewed. Can you see that?
Yes, and Mike Campbell did not get any money for you. That's a library book.
I know. I got this from the library. I'm cheap.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm running out of space at home. I mean,
the books are this antiquated delivery mechanism, isn't it?
Well, I think I saw this somewhere. Maybe it was Vintage Guitar. I'll give them a plug. They did a review on it. And I said, oh, that looks interesting. I went to the library, and they had 2 on order, no holds. So I think this book is due back this week, so I've got to return it.
Uh-oh.
But so I got
how much is an overdue charge? No,
in Grand Rapids 0,
you're kidding. They want people in there that bad.
They want someone gave a lot of money, and you no longer have overdue fees.
Oh.
So that's one little plus. But I think it used to be 10 cents a day. But
the insanity.
So that's got to go back. But so Mike Campbell's memoir, Mike Campbell, guitar player for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, he is the first band member to come out with a memoir, biography, and he was kind of considered the quiet one in the band.
Oh, he was. Okay.
And his wife kind of makes a crack about it, saying, "Well, in your old age, you've become quite chatty." She says early on, but it's got pictures, and I think it's about 300 plus pages. No, it's over 400 pages.
What interesting details have you learned?
Well, like all rock and roll memoirs,
you feel you had to bathe afterwards.
Well, that's what every Keith Richards one I've ever read, I've had to bathe afterwards. It's just terrible. You wonder, how is this guy alive if you read some of his. But this one is kind of sweet book. But I'm going to say it has, in the book, it has the ego, the greed, the tantrums, the pettiness, the infighting, the lawyers, bad record deals. But we're not going to cover that. That's all there if you really want to see it. What we want to focus on, and I think our listeners and watchers want to focus on, is what did he talk about? The guitar stories that he talks about.
That's right. Yes.
So one of the guitar stories.
Who cares about the people? It's a guitars that matter. Go ahead.
One of the guitars.
We're all on the same page.
That he talks about, and that is actually available just in the last little while. Maybe we have a little.
Oh yeah, that's right. You wanted me to.
It's let's see if we have it. It's on. You can buy it from Sweetwater if you're so inclined. It's the Mike Campbell Red Dog Telecaster. This was a parts caster that he got in the rehearsals after their first record. He bought it from a former student in Gainesville, Florida, for $200. So it's a sort of mishmash. And now they've just come out with it in the last month or so. You can see what you get there.
Yeah, I debated getting one of these. I'm still kind of on the fence.
They're heavy, aren't they? They're
heavy.
There's a lot of the hardware on them, I guess.
They have this boost circuit in them. And I guess the boost circuit is adjustable with a little screwdriver.
Oh,
so
really?
you can adjust the level and the level of the boost and the amount of distortion, I think, with it. But I'm afraid if I get it, I'll just find it like it's too. Well, the clips you see of it it's pretty. It's a pretty big boost.
Right. Well, this guitar was famous because it solved a problem that the band was having during the recording of the Damn the Torpedo sessions. The producer, Jimmy Iovine, focused on Refugee. He wanted that song to be just so. And they did take after take after take. And Mike Campbell used every guitar he had, plus other guitars people were bringing in. And he finally pulled the Red Dog Telecaster out. And that was the sound that was the guitar and the sound that was used on that record.
So it's one of those where the video actually does have the guitar that was on the record.
Yeah, I've never seen the video. You mentioned
yeah, there
that.
is a video of it. I don't have it up here, but yeah.
But apparently this guitar is the guitar that they used in the recording of the record.
Yeah, from the video, I always assumed that this just had a regular Telecaster bridge because I don't think you see that it's got a tremolo in the video. But
really?
Yeah, at least I never spotted if it does. But
the book mentions that officially they did over 70 takes, but Mike Campbell, they lost track. It was just one of these things that just never ended, and it was a lot of strain on them. But they sort of got it right at the end. And there's another segment, probably from September of 1981, and you can find this online. We won't go to it because we're going to get demonetized. But there's a very good segment in the book.
And all the money coming in from this is just incredible.
Nickels and dimes, but we need that. There's a very good segment in the book, and you can watch it online. It's from when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were on Tom Snyder's The Tomorrow Show.
It's got this guitar?
No, it doesn't have this guitar, but it has the band playing, promoting the record Heart Promises. But it's a good performance, and he recounts in the book the performance because it was a very small little venue of 75 people in the TV studio, and they had, I think, their full setup, and it was incredibly loud.
Oh, I know they use Super Beetle amps at that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think that's right. These big Vox amps. There is a Rockplast performance that I've seen that has Tom Petty playing that guitar, in an open tuning. Yeah.
So it's a spirited performance of the song King Road from the Hard Promises record. And Snyder makes comments like, why are you guys have to be so loud? And there's a good, funny exchange between Snyder and Tom Petty and that whole thing. Then after that performance, their road manager sort of ushered them out and said, you need to come with me. Put them into a limo and then took them over to SIR Studios. And they didn't know what was going on. They ushered them in, and the Rolling Stones were rehearsing for their fall 1981 Tattoo You tour of North America. And they're sort of brought into the room. The guys are playing, and then Mick Jagger comes over and says hello. This is all a surprise to them.
Yeah.
And then they notice, or Mike Campbell notices that where's Bill Wyman? Why isn't he with you guys? And he hadn't shown up yet, but there was a bass on stage. And then Mick said, "Do you play?" And Mike said, "Yes." And he jumped on.
Oh, that's cool.
And played. He knew the bass line for Tumbling Dice and didn't have to be told, So he has a nice little sort of
that's
moment
a good
in the
story.
book.
Yeah.
So it's a good book. It's and then if you're interested in seeing them, Mike Campbell's on tour this summer. Actually, he's coming to town here in Grand Rapids. He'll open up 2 nights for Chris Stapleton.
Oh, that would be very cool.
The band
show to see.
Yeah, his band's on tour across the United States.
Is this at the Van Andel Arena or no?
The shows in town are at the Van Andel Arena, which is a good sized arena, hockey arena. Yeah. That's my review of the book. I guess we'll put a link for that too if people are so inclined. But it's a good book. People enjoy it, I'm sure.
Right. Well, maybe you'll buy one, Matthew.
Maybe I will. I'll have to put it on my shelf.
You don't even have to worry about you could just keep that. There's no late fee.
They do catch up with you if you don't return it after a few weeks. They send you a bill.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, I guess you got to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matthew, we did last episode. We did guitar regrets. I had one. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Guitar regrets is a segment by which one of us will recount a traumatic guitar experience that either involved unfortunate sale or unfortunate purchase or the loss of coming that close to buying the desired object, of course, guitar or amplifier.
Well, mine deals with the unfortunate sort of selling of a guitar.
This is a sad story.
Yeah, it's like I still can't quite remember why I sold this guitar.
Okay,
let's set it up.
Let's say we need to know what this guitar is. What time of year was this, Matthew?
I bought it, I think, after
Was it a sunny
Christmas.
day when you bought it?
It was maybe a sunny day. And I was trying to remember the year I bought it. I guess I could go back and figure out when these things were made, but should we put it up on the screen?
Well, let's see if our viewers can guess what it is. We don't want to expose it too quickly. We give them enough little information about it that maybe they can relive the experience of discovery and loss.
Okay, all right. Can I say where I was?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I was at Elderly Instruments in Lansing, Michigan, and I was not. It was probably after Christmas, so I probably must have had a little Christmas money in my pocket. I was not thinking, "Oh, I need a guitar today."
And it says baritone bummer, so this is a baritone guitar.
This is a baritone guitar. So I think there was some kind of sale going on because I think it was at least 15 or 20% off, maybe from the manufacturer, and I picked up this thing, and I had never really played a baritone before, but it was pretty light.
This is an electric guitar.
It was an electric guitar, yeah. It's pretty light. It the scale wasn't crazy.
What color was it?
It was, if I remember, I'm trying to get it's sort of silver.
It was a silver burst baritone guitar. This probably is going to be a tip off to anybody who has had the similar desire for a baritone electric, and it was. Let me see if I can get it to show up here. It was this guitar, Matthew.
The PRS SE Mike Mushak, who was the guitar player for Stained.
You own this new?
I bought it brand new, and it was not $799. I paid, I think, new, like with tax and everything, maybe $460. It was under $500.
Wow, that's a good price.
I think brand new. I don't know at the time what they were, but it was maybe $599, and then there was maybe 20% off. So whatever that comes out to.
And now, why did you let it? Why did you let
I don't
this
know.
beauty pass through your?
I don't know.
Your grasp.
It look at it too. It had no and that didn't bother me. It was an ebony fretboard. It didn't have any dots on the fretboard. It was it's a 27.7 inch scale. So the scale it's not crazy.
This could be the guitar right here, couldn't it? It's in Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, I was saying it's in Rockford, Michigan.
you should make a drive to Rockford, Illinois
to check it out.
Home of Cheap Trick.
Yeah, maybe it was Rick Nielsen's. But it's a fun guitar. The pickups are kind of hot, but you can roll the volume back and they clean up. Mine was lightweight. Another thing I liked about it, it was flat. It didn't have an arm curve on the top.
Okay, now we have found
a little demo.
We have found a video here of it playing appropriately mournful sounding guitar. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. See it?
Sad already. It should be that's probably the name of the song.
It stayed in tune really well. It could have had the strings on it were Diodario's. I'm guessing. I think they were like something to 68, like 15.
Oh no! It's just, this is getting sadder all the time.
But it was very stable. It was a hardtail bridge, which is I guess most of them are, but I shouldn't have sold that. That's my regret. And I don't have a...
There's one there. You can get it.
I know.
Reverbs got a way to get out, dig yourself out of that hole.
They're not like you can't find them. You know, they're still out there. But
all right. Well, do you have more guitar regrets? You said you don't have a lot, Matthew.
No, I don't have. I actually don't.
I know you've sold a lot of guitars. The reason I know is because I bought some of them.
John's bought some.
You're the perfect friend to have for guitar. Is you have an impulse to buy something,
and I don't want to sell it.
But
too.
You have just enough guilt to not have too many of them, and I'm totally absent of that guilt.
Well, I look at it as it's a journey, so that it's on to the next one, and then sometimes you start writing them down. How many have I owned? It's like, oh my god, that's too many. But the Baritone one, it's such an unusual kind of beast, and they're interesting. And I just sort of thought, oh, I'm kind of done with that thing. But you sit around and go, I shouldn't have
threw it
sold
out.
that.
Just so much dirty laundry.
And underappreciated. Probably looking back, thinking, I'm on to a better home. You never appreciated me.
Well, I don't. Maybe you just don't have the level of respect needed to hold on to such wonderful guitars, Matthew.
I guess that's the advice I should leave people with. My takeaway was like, just think about it. I didn't really think about it, I don't think, because I was thinking, why did I sell that stupid thing? I shouldn't have done that. Maybe that's anyway. So
you're over it though. It still leaves a. Is there still an empty space there? Isn't there?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of life, maybe.
All right. Well, Matthew, that is another episode of the ThroBak Guitar Lounge.
Episode number 4.
Is there? We don't know what 5's going to be yet.
No.
It's sure to be full of excellent information,
entertaining information,
shocking discoveries,
infotainment,
paradoxes that are yet to be sorted out.
Maybe even a new unboxing.
That's right. Actually, I got something today,
but it wasn't delivered here.
It said it was delivered. I ordered a used amp. Maybe we'll talk about that from Guitar Center. And I thought I had it delivered here, but I instead had it delivered to the local store. So I got to go get that after we're done here.
And here's a connection. There's a connection between this amp and Chris Stapleton.
There is.
I believe there is. I hope I'm not making a crazy.
Oh, I understand the connection now.
Yes,
You're right. There is.
There is. So there you go.
In fact, this connection is the very reason I decided I needed this amp.
There you go.
Oh, now I want to watch the next show.
Have to make it first.
Yeah. Okay.